And Jehovah Rapha, I was actually obviously in the middle of talking about the subject of living above the line, which is really living the life of faith or living the life of joy and peace or promises. And this song came up again to me, and this morning I felt the Holy Spirit said, I want you to talk about this. And I think it relates to living above the line in a real way. Because one of the things I didn't get to talk about last week was the helmet of salvation. And that is understanding that the enemy, if he's going to attack you, he's going to attack your head, generally speaking. He's going to attack your thought life. And putting on a helmet protects your thinking. And to live above the line, in other words, you can't have a negative mind and a positive life. Or you can't have a positive life with a negative way of thinking. You can't be a negative thinker. And no one sets out to be a negative thinker. No one sets out that way. It's just kind of like you feel. Well, it's just the way I am. But it really is the results of certain things that you left undone or certain things that you did, right? Just like you have to brush your teeth and you have to take a shower or it gets stinky, right? Well, there are certain things you have to do with your mind or else it's just a mess. It just doesn't handle itself. You have to think about it. When I heard this Jehovah Rapha, I remembered studying it, and that it was at a particular place that this thing happened where God said, I'm Jehovah Rapha. And I'm going to read that to you because it's in Exodus, the 15th chapter, the 22nd verse through the 26th verse. And it says this: Then Moses made Israel set out from the Red Sea. So you see where they were at the Red Sea. They crossed over, right? And they went to the wilderness of Shur. They went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. How about that? You'd think that God is a glorious, drowned Pharaoh. Things are great. God is with us. And now 3 days, no water. It's a bad day. I mean, just 2 days is bad. For 3 days, you're about to kill somebody. Moses is not looking like a great leader now because he led them into this crisis. And God allows crises so that we learn to trust him. As a matter of fact, God plans most of the stuff that you hate in your life. God is trying to use it for your good. Most of the stuff you want to avoid, it's actually for you. You think things are working against you, but these are things that God has said, look, I'm going to make you something special in the midst of these crises. When they came to Marah, they could not drink the water of Marah because it was bitter. Therefore, it was named Marah. Not Moriah. Moriah is not bitter. Mount Moriah and Marah is totally two different things. But so you see here, I want you to just stop for a moment because, of course, super thirsty. 3 days, you see a beautiful pool of water. You see this beautiful pond, and you got the estimates are somewhere between 5,500 Israelis to 2 million. So different people see the children of Israel that came out of came out of Egypt. They see them as different numbers because it's somewhere between 5,500 and 2 million people. But either way, it's a lot of people. Some people say 22,000. Some people say 600,000. Just Google and see if you can figure that out, because you're just going to get all kinds of opinions. But let's just say it's 100,000 people with Moses that are all thirsty and dying of thirst after 3 days. I mean, you got to have water. And you see this beautiful pool of water. You're like, thank God we're saved. And we're going to die, but we are saved. And people just can't help but running, you know how it is, and just splashing in the water and just drinking the water. And then they notice that some of these people that were drinking start getting sick, and start throwing up. And then everybody's like, hold up. And then all the leaders are saying, you can't drink here. That's a bad day. I mean, you've been in the woods and you got the last little drop in your canteen, and then you feel like somebody spit in it. It's a bad day. You know, it creates a lot of emotion because God was just setting you up for a disappointment, right? And you get a little angry when you get disappointed. Like, like one of the worst things in life is getting disappointed. I mean, it's not what happened, it's what you expected to happen. Like when you get, with the saints, they just say, don't get your hopes up. It's one of the ways we say, don't get your hopes up. But in other words, try to avoid disappointment at all costs. And a lot of people, they live to avoid disappointment. They don't even pray for healing because they just don't want to be disappointed. Right? Some people won't even give their life to Jesus because they think they're going to be a big disappointment to God. People are afraid of rejection. They're afraid of disappointment. These are like two of the heavies in life. To be rejected and to be disappointed or to be tricked is one of the things we don't like. Like to expect one thing and somebody fool us, we call it in English, to be fooled. Now, these people experiencing all of that because they thought they got huge disappointment here. At the same time, they were tricked. And at the same time, they feel rejected because God, who just brought us out of Egypt, is now going to kill us in the desert, in the wilderness. There's a lot of emotion happening here when you can kind of read right through it, but it is something happening here on an emotional level. I find when things go bad, you find out who people are. Come on, somebody. When everything's great, everybody's a good person. When everything's booming, everybody's a great person. Wait till things get tough, right? Man, if I didn't have any food, with my wife, I wouldn't even go to sleep because she might eat my leg off. On a desert island, I might wake up without a leg because when it comes to food, my wife's serious about food. Come on, somebody. She says the other way around. I have the microphone, so it's true what I said. but I mean, like a push to the wall, we find out who people are. It's one of the great things about crisis because you get to know who people really are. When the crisis comes, there's not enough money, there's not enough food, there's not enough water. You find out what kind of character people have. Are they really sacrificial or they just want you to think they're that way? You get this, one of the great benefits of going through a crisis, you get to know who people are. You get to know who your friends are. You get to know what their real character is. And that's a huge benefit. And so the people grumbled, it says, against Moses. They called this place bitter. Mara means bitter. They named it bitter because it was such a bitter disappointment, such a bitter letdown. There's another phrase we use, let down. He just let me down. You just let me down. Oh, man, that's heavy language. That's life-changing, I'm going to be mad forever language. Just let me down. They let me down. You just, in your high school yearbook, the number one comment is what? She was always there for me. Like they get hooked on that. Like you weren't that nice, but you were always there for me. It's like one of the things that we appreciate about people most is like, well, he was a jerk, but he was always there for me. We feel good when people stay with us during some hard times, don't we? And it's one of the things that we value the most as people. Like, you know what? At least he was there for me. She was there for me. That's one of those phrases that bring something safe and restful to our heart. They grumbled against Moses and said, what are we going to drink? And he cried to the Lord, listen, and the Lord showed him a log or a tree. Showed him a tree. And he threw it into the water. And the water became sweet. And there the Lord made them a statute and a rule. And there he tested them, saying, if you will diligently listen to my voice, the voice of the Lord your God, and do that which is right in his eyes, and give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you that I put on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord your healer. And so you read it, you're like, oh yeah, got it. Well, hold up. It was the water that got healed. Just think about it. Like, it wasn't there that the Lord healed them. It was there the Lord healed the water. That somehow when the water is healed, then the people got healed because they were getting sick from the bad water, from the bitter water was making them sick. So God didn't just heal the people from drinking bad water. He healed the water. So now the people could be healthy because there's good water. So there's a message there. It's not just that God wants to heal you from cancer. God wants to heal you from high blood pressure or whatever it is that you might be seeking a healing. He says, I would rather heal the source of your problem. And I mean, this is all science, really, because they, I think that numbers up into the 80s now, like 86% of all, maybe, and some people say more than that. Some people say 90. Of all illnesses, this is the American Medical Association. That's the people. They know stuff. And they say that up to 90% of all sicknesses are rooted in stress. In other words, they say it's psychosomatic. You know what that means? The effect of the psycho on the soma. In Greek, the body is the soma, the mind is the psyche, psychosomatic. That means if you think wrong, you'll make yourself sick. So here's a reality that we can draw from that, and that is that if you think right, you're going to be healed. You're going to live well. You're not going to get sick because the source of your sickness has been healed. So cancer is the result of you attracting a condition based on your anxiety level. And so that you get an inflammation and the cells go rogue and they start multiplying. And a disease is formed as a result of your psyche on your soma. Now, that's just a fact. Whatever it is, high blood pressure, sugar diabetes, whatever. All sickness, or at least a high percentage of all sickness is rooted, or your likelihood of contacting a disease that will ruin you. It's all about how peaceful you are and happy you are in life. It seems too simple. It seems complicated, but it's not. If you get that water healed, everything's going to be healed. That means your marriage is going to be healed. Your mind is going to be healed. Your body is going to be healed. Your children are going to be healed. Your generations are going to be healed. If you could just get that bitter water to become sweet. If you could find a way to process the bitterness. Water is water, but you got to put something in it to make it bitter. Something had to happen to make that water bitter. I don't know if a big old bear died and just rotted in that water. But some of you got some bears died in that water. And you ain't fit to drink from. Come on, somebody. You fooled around. And look, you got to get that dead, stinking, swole up bear, sheep, or whatever it is, camel. You got to get that out of that water so that you can get that water healed. So water doesn't just go bitter. It goes bitter because something happened. Now, there's all kind of, I'm not a geologist or a whatever scientist. There are a lot of reasons it goes bitter, but it all comes down. I want you to understand that there's a source of bad water. And I want you to see in this, because the song we're going to sing in a minute, and you're going to be healed. You're going to be healed. You're going to stop being so weird. That'll be all your friends are like, man, I hope, I'm praying right now. All your friends start speaking in tongues. Like, please, Jesus, this is his day. He don't even know. He's making us crazy. Just do something, God. You got to do something because I can't stand him anymore. I can't take it. Some people went into deep intercession, like just his day. Because you know you're weird because you're insecure. You think people don't like you when they actually hadn't even thought about you. I know what they thinking. Oh no, they don't even know who you are. She don't like me. She don't even know you exist, man. I know what they're talking about. They ain't talking about you. I can promise you. You just think they're talking about you because you weird. You know, and when you try to tell yourself, they're probably not talking about me. And then you're like, yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they are. And like you're having this crazy person conversation in your head because you know, you need a helmet to guard yourself when these insecure, weird thoughts, right? Like you're doing good and suddenly, you know, I'm just gonna do something dumb. I'm doing so good now, I can't keep doing good. I must do something ridiculous and harm myself. Oh, this is a good plan. Who came up with it? The weird person in your head. Like you've been doing good long enough, it's about time to self-destruct. Let's do something more embarrassing than you did last time. And so you can go through the whole guilt and shame, and you can go through all that over again. That's a plan. But it's not a plan for sane people. It's a plan for people who are dealing with bitter waters. See, the word in the Bible, generally speaking, when you hear water, it means words. Words. He washed us with the washing of water by the word. Out of your belly will flow rivers of living water springing up to everlasting life. He's talking about the good words that come out of you when God does something good in your life and you start telling people, suddenly everybody starts drinking that sweet water. But see, some people are predisposed to the negative. Because they think they're so smart, they figured it out. Like, I know. See, you don't realize you're crazy. And when you go to psychiatrists, you're going to find out most of them got into that because they were crazy. That's just a side note to help you. They became psychologists because they wanted free treatment. So they went to school, and they're still crazy, and now they're counseling you. And they're giving you medicine, like how to be crazy. And live with it. It's a fact. It's a fact because God is the only one that can turn bitter water sweet. And the more bitter you are, the sicker you get. And the weirder your perception of real life. The weirder your perception of God and other people, the weirder your decision making is. And you're like, it's just the devil. Yeah. But it's the devil who polluted your water. You ever see one of those movies where the bad guys go and they poison the water supply of a whole city? I mean, there's something so insidious about it. Like babies are drinking it. You know, young people are drinking it. People are trusting it. You know, and then there's like the evil terrorists putting the poison in the water supply. Like that's not only against the Geneva Convention, it's like one of the sickest things ever. To have a water supply that's supposed to be fresh, but it's poison, and everybody's trusting it. They're taking baths in it, and it's poisoning them. That Aaron Brockovich movie was about, the plants poisoning the water supply with chemical waste. And all these people were getting deformities and crazy things because they're swimming and drinking bad water. And we think, man, that's the most terrible thing anybody could do was poison someone's water supply. Because you could kill any city. You could kill any nation. Just go poison their water supply. Just kill the whole nation. But people, even the most evil people, like Hitler type people, don't even think about that because it's so detestable. But I want to be gentle. But you don't understand. You got bitter water, you poison your own children. You don't mean to, but you just teach them not to trust men. You just teach them not to trust God. Because you got bitter water, everybody drinking it. Well, what I learned, things I went through, okay. So you're weird. But that's not the bad part. The bad part is you're a weird fountain. And people are trusting good waters coming from you, but they're getting nothing but sick like you're sick. And you don't need to mean to do it. You just have to neglect the big old dead elk laying in the pond, and it'll just poison everybody automatically. So you think I'm just being me. I'm just being me. Yes, you are just being you, but you're being the polluted version of you. It's you around the edges. It's still you look like you, but when that happens, see, what happens when something happens and we start getting a little pollution in our water, suddenly we tend to find a lot of more reasons to be polluted. We start seeing pollution when it ain't even there. We start seeing, I know. You know why? I know why. And you don't. You're just full of bull. But see, you think up things to hurt yourself. I know why they didn't. I bet they called everybody about Friendsgiving, but they didn't call me. It's because they hate me. No, they didn't think about you because you hadn't been to church in 8 weeks. Don't shout me down when I preach it good. It really has nothing. They forgot all about you, but they weren't targeting you. Come on, somebody. I know that church, how they are. They think they better than. Now you're on a tirade about something that didn't even happen, and you're an expert about it. I know what they was doing. You don't know Jack. And I can tell you, in everybody's marriage and everybody's experience in life and everybody's walk, bad things are going to happen. It is a fact of life. If it happened to Jesus, it's going to happen to you. He's perfect. He couldn't avoid bad things. He got rejection. He got beat up. He got betrayed. All that stuff happened. And you're going to find it's true in your life if you haven't found it yet. And you're going to have to process that. And if you don't process these things, it makes you sick. And it affects the way you are. You're an altered version of you. And so what happens is then you become this person. In marriages, friendships, churches, I'm going to use a figure because I believe it's true. It is not science. 90% of your hurts are the result of misunderstandings. You think you know something you don't know nothing about, but you're so sure that you know it. Why? Because things happen to you. Now you see it in other people and you're sure of it. I'm about to be betrayed. I see it coming. Okay, you so wise. You see it coming. No, you just got bitter water, man. Jesus said you got to become like a little child if you want to get in the kingdom. You so stinking wise. You see it. Now I'm going to finish with that in a minute. But that means somewhere around 10% is just meanness. Like what you think these people did, that's about 10% of all your hurts is actually somebody was just a mean person and just wanted to hurt you. 90% of it was just a misunderstanding. They thought this and you thought that, and nobody talked and nobody loved and nobody believed the best. We all believed the worst, and our own thoughts embittered us. Our own perceptions embittered us. Our own processing of, I know why they didn't come to cell group. You don't know. Well, they said it was because, that's probably what it was. Yeah, but see, you got to find some drama in everything. Y'all saw the look on his face? You saw the look on his face, Aaron's face when he was playing the drums? I don't know what it is. I think he's going through it. And Aaron, he's thinking about something else. But you already got it marked. Like, I know. And then you work it like, what could it be? What could it be? How about you just worry about you? How about you just take care of, that big log hanging out of your eye? Then you can help other people with their specks. See, it is a judgmental See, 90% of the hurt that you have is a judgmental attitude that you think you know other people's intent. And you don't. I know what they do. See, someone said this a long time, so true. They said that we judge ourselves by our intentions and we judge others by their actions. It is so true. I didn't mean to. I really do. Okay. But other people, you think that they meant to no matter what. They meant to. They meant it. They meant it. Are y'all with me? And it says that Moses, it says here that Moses, the Lord showed him a tree. Here it is in black and white. And the Lord showed him a log or a tree, and he threw it in the water, and it became sweet. You can't see it until the Lord shows it to you. That means it is a revelation. That you think it's all good until the Lord shows you. You know what your problem is? You ain't throwing the right thing in that water. You know, I was making spaghetti meatballs. Actually, not meatballs, just hamburger meat. Italian people, they know this is it's a terrible error. But I was just making, and I got sauce out of a can, of course. And Diane hated it because it was flavored with meat. Diane said, don't ever get the one that's flavored with meat from Walmart. I was like, you know what? It just read to me, and I'm going to make it taste good. So, I put it in there, and when Diane wasn't looking, and it tastes pretty good. It's got a little bit of a bite to it. It's got that Walmart bite to it. It's a little off. It's like they're Oreos. They're almost Oreos, but they're not quite Oreos. I don't know what they call them, but you can't, like even their graham crackers, they're a little off. Like, there's a reason to spend those other 50 cents. And get the real graham crackers, because the Walmart's cheaper, but only your kids don't know the difference. Like, give them, buy the Walmart for the kids, and then you get the real ones for yourself, dip it in milk. So, it had that kind of a little bite to it. And while Diane wasn't looking, I went to the cupboard and got some sugar. And I looked to make sure she wasn't watching because, she needs help. I'm just teasing. No. But she watches me. She knows I might try something. When it comes to cooking, I might try something unauthorized. I got to send in an authorization form to be able to put some in the food because she watches me like, don't do it. I'm like, hey, wait till you turn your back. I'm putting something in there. I'll sneak some Tony Chachere's in there. Like, I don't know. It just got hot. I don't know what happened. It is the truth. It is the truth. So I had that cheap Walmart gravy going, as the Italians say. I had that gravy going, and then while Diane wasn't looking, I took 2 tablespoons of sugar and put it in there. Oh my gosh, it tasted so awesome. Diane was eating it like it was this is really good. I was like, yep, I made it sweet. I said it in my head, I didn't say it out loud. Because it was more like, chocolate syrup she put over that spaghetti by the time I finished with it. It was sweet. You got to find what to put in it. God has to show you what to put in it. I can't really stop you from getting bitter. But since you already got it going where you're blaming everybody and you don't trust people and you're upset with people, since you got that condition, the victim, poor me, why always me, you went ahead and got that bitter going, you're going to have to put something sweet in there. So God shows Moses, let me show you what to put in there. I'm going to get you to put a tree in the water. It didn't make any sense, but after Jesus went to the tree, then you're going to have to take that bitter and put some Jesus in it. The cross. Now, of course, that will preach. Just say, hey, Jesus forgave you. You got to forgive other people. That's true. That what you did put Jesus on the cross, and instead of being angry with you, he forgave you. That's true. But in a practical sense, putting something in it that's sweet It actually works this way. When Jesus is on the cross, he says this, Father, I'm talking about in pain, feet hurting, legs hurting, back hurting, heart broken, rejected, beaten, totally unfair. He says, Father, forgive them. Now that would be amazing. And most of us go that far and say, Lord, I just forgive them. I just right now in Jesus' name forgive them. But you don't put nothing sweet in. You just saying stuff. I forgive them. I just choose to forgive them right now. I just choose to forgive them. Okay, how come you're still so mad? You didn't put nothing sweet in it. Because if you wanted to stop being bitter, to just put the cross. Just say, you know what? I choose to forgive them. Jesus forgave. I choose to forgive them. Okay, that will kill the bitter, but it won't make it sweet. You got to put something sweet in it. And this is what Jesus said. He said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Oh, the old, it seems like they knew what they were doing, but they really didn't. Their intent. They didn't want it to be like this. Now, you are well aware with how much it hurt you. But you are not well aware of why they hurt you. And you can assume they did it just because they're just mean or greedy or bad people. But if you want to put something sweet in it, you got to make a little bit of an argument on their behalf. And say, look, let me tell you why you should forgive them, because they didn't mean to do it. Are y'all with me? Isn't that a sweet thought? They didn't mean to do it. Just try it. Say they didn't mean to do it. Now, think about the people who broke your heart, who betrayed you, who lied about you, who attacked you. Think about those people for a second and just look at them. And I know you have some. Look at them and say, he didn't mean to do it. Just say it. I know you may not believe it yet, but God has to show you this log. God has to show you this. God has the way to make it sweet, but you got to want that. See, some people, their whole identity is around what happened to them. And they don't want to give it up because this is so much to them. They've built their whole personality around what happened. And they've got all kinds of rules. Like you can't trust people. You can't tell people. You can't draw people close to you. You can only have a couple of good friends. Don't even tell people what you really mean. Don't put your heart out there. They got a whole list of rules built around this one thing. And they just don't want to let it go. It's making them sick. Physically, spiritually. It's poisoning their relationships. It's causing people to want to get away from them. And they just keep getting more and more because they don't want to let go of that. But if you wanted to let go, where Jesus said, pray for those. Do good to those who despitefully use you. Meaning what? Meaning you got to put something sweet in this. Now you got to make a decision. Do you want to just be right and them wrong? You want them to be the devil and you're the angel? That you didn't do anything, but they did everything. Is that the way you want to play it? Or what about real? What is real? Real is saying, I'm going to choose to believe the best about them. And since I have a choice, I'm not going to choose the one that hurts me the most. I'm going to choose the version where they didn't mean to do it. That they did it, but it happened by accident. And that they didn't intend, they had no idea how it was going to affect me. Are y'all with me? I don't want to over-explain, but you got to have, it takes somebody to say, I'm going to put something sweet in this. It's little Stephen, get stoned to death for preaching. He was getting stoned to death. And while he was being stoned to death, he looked up to heaven and he said, I see Jesus standing at the right hand of the Father. Hold up for a second. Jesus standing at the right hand of the Father. You know, every other time we see Jesus seated, like we had the last couple of weeks, seated at the right hand of, what made Jesus? Because as Stephen was getting hit with those rocks from those angry religious people, well, he was getting, hit with a rock will make you mad. Hit with enough rocks to kill you, that had to make you furious. And then Stephen said, the Bible says his face was like an angel. You know he put something sweet in it, right? Because you can put something sweet in that argument with your wife. You can have the face of the angel, or you can have a face of a devil. But Stephen stood up and said, Lord, don't put this on their account, because they didn't mean to do it. What do you mean they didn't mean to do it? They took those rocks and okay, you're so smart. You're cheating yourself out of peace. To make them wrong, you're ruining your own well. To make you right, all right, and them all wrong, you're poisoning your own well. You want to bring Jesus to his feet? You want like this, where Jesus says, now that's what I'm talking about. Stephen said, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Don't hold us to their account. Most of us are just waiting until God judges the people that did us wrong. Like, oh, it's coming. It's coming. Just praying for that day. Are y'all with me? All right, help me. Get me out of this shirt, please. I got to get out, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Jehovah Rapha. Say it again. Say Jehovah Rapha. See, that water got to get healed. What about Joseph? 16 years in prison for doing the right thing. Finally face to face with his brothers who cruelly, apparently intentionally put him there. He said, I put some sweet in. His brothers were like, he's going to kill us. And Joseph said, okay, let me tell you something. True, you meant it for evil, but let me tell you something. God meant it for good. Oh, he put something sweet in that water. He said, you know what? I don't care what I'm going through. I don't care who put me here. God is using it for his good. So I should thank you for being so dang mean. Because God used it for me, and I just love you for being so mean. I just thank God for you for being such an idiot, such a terrible person. I just thank God, because what God did through that, it made me so much better. Are y'all with me? Jehovah Rapha, to throw the cross in it, is to put the sweet into the bitter. And I'm going to finish with this. There were two trees in the garden. One was the tree of life. The other was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And God said, stay away from that tree. Well, let me just tell you, I can tell you how people are. You know how, okay. You've been eating from the wrong tree, apparently. The tree of life gives people a chance. If you're looking for a way to condemn the people who hurt you, they are easy targets. They got problems. They got issues. And if you're just trying to find some fault with you, people got plenty of them. You could just send them to hell. But that's the wrong tree. And God said there are always two trees. You can eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Like, I'm so wise, I figured it all out. I know how people are. When you see them doing that, then you can be sure this is going to happen. Not true. Bull. That's just bull. You just think that you're so smart, you know what people think. You know why they did it. You know what their intention was. You know everything about it when you don't know anything. That's the tree of the knowledge of goodness. I figured it out. I know how people are. And I've been around for a while you just old. I don't care if you're 17. You're just old. You got people figured out. They always do you wrong and they can't be trusted. That's not true. You just eat from the tree of, fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me. So you got a whole list of fool me twices. So you got a whole volume of things, right? That you've drawn lines and you've made statutes and you've created laws all based on what you've learned about how people are and how to avoid pain in life. And it's all not true. You see, negative people didn't say, I want to be negative. They just processed pain through the wrong tree. And then, unintentionally, their children heard them talking about it. And the children said, oh, I see. I'm going to drink. So your children start drinking from that water. I mean, how many pastors' kids don't even go to church? Because they heard, the pastor's wife, not my wife, but they heard the pastor's wife, talking about the people. I know why now I tell you what, okay, you don't know Jack, but you're poisoning your own children with that well of yours. Are you guys hear what I'm saying? Everybody say Jehovah Rapha. You want to live above the line? You're going to have to throw some sweet in it all the time. And I love God's advice. Now, you stay away from that tree. See that tree right there? I know it's tempting to say you know it all and you figured it out and you're so smart. You're so smart, you're trapped. You're so smart, you got a bitter Welsh. You're so smart, you poison everybody to get around you. And God said, look, I will tell you, it'll always be there and it's dangerous. Don't eat from that. Even the 10% where people just did what was wrong because they just mean. There's a reason why they did that. Maybe somebody was mean to them. It's too many options. But at the end of the day, this is about you. This is about your well. How do you keep it sweet? Like, I don't have to. So what? They made a fool out of me. I choose to not think thoughts that hurt me. I'm going to not think thoughts that puts the worst spin on everything. I just choose to be childlike. And even if Amber, who would never say anything mean, but if I heard that Amber said something bad about me, and I thought to myself, I don't believe that. I don't know. I know how she is. She would never do that. I'm going to believe the best about her. I'm going to throw some. I'm not going to worry about it. Well, Amber said, your beard is weird. And when you shave it, you look a lot fatter. She would never say that. She would say, he's handsome no matter what. With no beard, a beard, he's always handsome. I know what she would say. So I don't believe the rumor I heard that she was dogging me about my beard. I heard it, but you know what? I said, you know what? I don't care what you say. I believe in her. And I don't believe she did it. Let me tell you something. You just put something sweet into the bitter. And when you said that, what if it comes out that she did say it? Well, how bad does she look that I believe good about her? But if I did the wrong thing and believed the wrong thing because I heard some gossip and I got mad at her because of what I heard someone said, and I got into the game and said, I'll tell you, I know why she said that. It's because Bray don't have a good beard at all. He does have a great beard, but But I can start thinking of why. I'll tell you why. It's because, and then I went off on her. Like, and plus, she's not really that tall. And how can she be a runner? She was a runner in college. Look at her legs. She has the short legs. There's no way. She gave my grandson those little legs, too. I could just shoot back at her. And then it comes to find out that she never said it. Who's an idiot now? In this kingdom, the safe play is always believe the best. Now, I'm going to only eat from the tree of life. What does it say? Let me read you this and we're going to close. Hebrews 12:15 says, looking diligently lest any man fall of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up and trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. In other words, be diligent, look diligently so that a root of bitterness doesn't spring up and defile everybody around you. This is the challenge for you. You want to live above the line? Learn to think the best. And when you can't think the best, then start saying the best. And say, you know what? He's not like that. She's not like that. I don't believe that. I don't care what, I don't believe that. I know him. I know her. And I don't believe what you're saying. And I'm not going to be a victim to spiritual warfare by participating in these kind of ugly talk and this kind of ugly imagination. I love this, 1 Corinthians 15:45. For it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living soul. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit. You are a life, come on, say, I'm a life-giving spirit. When Jesus came into your life, see, God wanted to save the people through that pool of water. Are y'all with me? God wanted to save. He couldn't save the people through that because it was too bitter. You may not realize it, but you're God's dream of the salvation of the whole world. And if you got bitterness inside of you, judgment, people hear you talk about other races like white people are better than black people. That's bitter. They should never hear anything coming out of your mouth. Your kids, you don't want to poison your kids against brown people or white people. You don't want to poison your kids about the church or about our country. We can all find fault and we can all fall victim to allowing this kind of thinking. But God today wants to show you something you can throw in the water.